Good evening to one and all. A warm welcome to 95th International Workshop on Great Life Lessons from the Greek Philosopher Parmenides, Golden Jubilee Year of NEHU May 2023 to May 2023. International Workshop Series, a series of programs with the highest number best of ability every Saturday 5 to 7 p.m. Look up, aim high, nation first, self next. Jointly organized by Internal Quality Assurance IQAC, Northeastern Hill University NEHU, Shillong Meghalaya, and Indian Society for Training and Development ISTD, Shillong Chapter, Shillong Meghalaya, in collaboration with the Department of Philosophy and IQAC, MORAN College affiliated to Dibrugarh University, MORANHAT, ASSAM, and Department of Philosophy, Sri Venkateswara University, SHILLONG, TIRUPATI, Andhra Pradesh. A warm welcome to today's keynote speaker, my guru, collaborator, guide, philosopher, Professor P. Chennai sir, Department of Philosophy, Sri Venkateswara University, Professor Prabhasankar Sukla sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Northeastern Hill University, Shillong, Professor P.S. Dikshit sir, Registrar Director IQAC NEHU Shillong, Professor Raja Reddy sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sri Venkateswara University, Professor Mithali Kaur, Principal Moran College, Dr. Srutaswini Gogoi Madam, Workshop Coordinator at Department of Philosophy and Coordinator IQAC NSS, Professor B.S. Mipun sir, Chairman ISTD Shillong Chapter. A warm welcome to today's keynote speaker, my guru, and the senior teachers, policy makers, administrators, research scholars, students, and all the participants. There are n number of things we are learning from various types of philosophies, schools of philosophies, and philosophers, irrespective of country, region, religion. Professor Chennai sir, almost more than 300 keynote addresses delivered by taking every time one new philosopher. Before Christ, 515, great philosopher, Greek philosopher born Parmenides. So, what are the great life lessons from this great Greek philosopher? Professor Chennai sir, as usual, going to uncover the covered things. Sir is Greece physically visited, so sir is the right person to inform many things about the Greek philosophers. A warm welcome to one and all. As usual, we start our program with Vande Mataram.
वन्दे मातरम् वन्दे मातरम् सुजला सुफला मलयज शीतला सस्यश्यामला मातरम् वन्दे मातरम् शुभ्रज्योत्स्ना पुलकितयामिनी पुल्लकुसुमित द्रुमदलशोभिनी सुहासिनी सुमधुरभाषिणी सुखदां वरदां मातरं वन्दे मातरम् वन्दे मातरम्.
Thank you. I think sir has a network issue again. Sir will join within 1 minute. Sir, your volume icon is not visible, sir. I think now it is okay, sir. Please, sir. Sir, you are not audible, sir.
Respectable coordinator, Dr. Amaresh.
Sir, you are not audible, sir. Please, you can log out and log in, sir. Sorry, I think sir has no network issue. Just a texted message. It is not delivered. So I can start my presentation. Once sir join, we can invite to deliver keynote address. Right. Good evening to one and all. Great life lessons from the Greek philosopher Parmenides. The outline of the presentation, introduction, learning outcome, and conclusion as usual. Before going to our original topic, actual topic, I would like to motivate you showing 3 motivational videos regarding Zen philosophy. Powerful here story to motivate our noble participants.
Once upon a time, in a small coastal village, embraced by majestic cliffs and caressed by the roaring sea, lived a young woman named Isabella. She possessed a deep passion for the art of storytelling, yet doubt often cast a shadow on her dreams. Her heart ached to share her stories with the world, but fear of rejection held her back, keeping her imprisoned within the boundaries of her own mind. One day, as Isabella wandered along the sandy shore, she stumbled upon an old fisherman named Antonio. His weathered face told tales of a life well lived, of battles fought, and dreams pursued. Intrigued by his aura of wisdom, she struck up a conversation, confessing her struggles with doubt. Antonio listened intently, his eyes reflecting the depths of the ocean. In his gentle voice, he shared his own journey as a young fisherman, and how doubt had once haunted him like an ever-present companion. Yet he had discovered a secret. Doubt was not a permanent fixture, but rather a passing visitor along the path of chasing one's dreams. With a spark in his eyes, Antonio spoke of other dreamers who had faced doubt, but had chosen to press forward. He told stories of painters, poets, and musicians who had dared to share their gifts despite the nagging whispers of uncertainty. They had embraced the unpredictable nature of their creative endeavors, understanding that doubt was a natural part of the journey. Inspired by Antonio's words, Isabella realized that doubt was not her enemy, but rather an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. She understood that her stories, like waves crashing upon the shore, held the power to touch hearts and stir souls. Armed with this newfound perspective, she resolved to conquer her doubts and share her gift with the world. Day by day, Isabella immersed herself in her craft, pouring her heart and soul into every word she penned. She sought solace in the natural beauty that surrounded her, finding inspiration in the rhythmic dance of the waves and the whispering of the wind through the trees. Through her writing, she captured the essence of the village, weaving tales of love, loss, and resilience. One fateful evening, Isabella mustered the courage to share her stories with the villagers. As she stood before them, her voice trembled, but determination burned brightly in her eyes. She read her tales aloud, each word carrying the weight of her passion and the triumph over her doubts. To her surprise, the villagers listened with rapt attention, their hearts opening to the magic woven within her words. Tears glistened in their eyes, and smiles adorned their faces, for Isabella's stories had touched them deeply. In that moment, doubt melted away like the morning mist, leaving only a sense of purpose and fulfillment in its wake. Word of Isabella's storytelling prowess spread like wildfire, drawing travelers from far and wide to hear her tales. She became a beacon of inspiration, reminding others that doubt was not an obstacle, but a catalyst for self-discovery and growth. People flocked to the village, eager to experience the transformative power of her narratives. As the years passed, Isabella's stories transcended the boundaries of the village, reaching distant lands and touching countless lives. She became a revered storyteller, admired not only for her words, but also for her unwavering belief in the power of dreams, creativity, and share our unique gifts. Doubt loses its power to hold us back. Like Isabella, we can find solace in the beauty that surrounds us and trust in the transformative power of our dreams. This is Dare to Do Motivation, Stories. Thank you.
Right, very nice. So sometimes we have also the same type of feeling, whether it's the multiple choice question. We have also the same type of feeling, whether it's the multiple choice questions before answering, whether it is right or wrong. I think Professor Chennai sir joined. We'll try if sir continues. Sir, please continue your keynote address, sir.
Amresh, sir, Amresh.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Uh, 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 so I am going.
Sir, I think your network is poor, sir. Without video, you can, with audio only, you can continue, sir. Sir, you are not audible, sir. Sir, you are not audible, sir. Please. I think sir has again joined. Right. So how to identify fake people? So in our daily life, nowadays, n number of cyber crimes. My God, the way they are sending SMS, mails, calling, and so many people, even highly educated also. So it is our duty to identify this type of fake people, phishing messages and mails.
Once upon a time, in a small village, nestled amidst rolling hills, there lived a wise old Zen master named Shun. He was renowned for his wisdom and the clarity of his teachings. People from far and wide would seek his guidance, hoping to find answers to their deepest questions. One day, a young traveler named Hiro arrived in the village. Hiro had heard tales of the wise Zen master and his ability to see through people's facades. Intrigued by these stories, Hiro decided to pay a visit to the renowned master. When Hiro arrived at the Zen master's humble abode, he was greeted by Shun with a warm smile. Sensing Hiro's eagerness to learn, the master invited him to sit down and offered him a cup of tea. As Hiro sipped the fragrant tea, he couldn't help but notice the simplicity of the room. The walls were adorned with simple calligraphy, and a single bonsai tree stood elegantly in the corner. It was a stark contrast to the opulence and grandeur he had seen in other places. Curiosity piqued, Hiro decided to ask the master about the secret to identifying fake people. "Master Shun," Hiro began, "I have heard stories of your ability to see through people and uncover their true nature. How can one identify fake people in this world?" The Zen master smiled gently and replied, The quest to identify fake people is a noble one, but it is not as complicated as you may think. To truly understand others, you must first understand yourself." Perplexed by the response, Hiro leaned in closer, eager to unravel the wisdom hidden within these words. Shun continued, "Fake people often wear masks, disguising their true selves in order to gain acceptance or advantage in the world. They may put on a facade of kindness, generosity, or even spirituality. But their true nature is revealed when they are faced with challenges, setbacks, or adversity." Hiro nodded, beginning to grasp the essence of the master's teaching. "True character," Shun continued, "is not revealed through words or actions alone. It is in the face of adversity that one's true nature shines through. It is during the storms of life that the strength of one's spirit is truly tested." As Hiro absorbed the master's words, he began to reflect on his own life experiences. He recalled instances where he had witnessed individuals who seemed kind and generous in favorable circumstances, but when faced with challenges, their true colors were exposed. "But how can we truly discern someone's nature?" Hiro asked, his voice filled with curiosity. The Zen master's eyes sparkled with wisdom as he replied, "To identify fake people, one must cultivate the art of deep observation. Pay attention not only to what people say, but how they say it. Observe their actions, their reactions, and their consistency in behavior. But above all, trust your intuition, for it is a powerful guide." Hiro felt a deep resonance with the master's teachings. He realized that the art of identifying fake people required more than just superficial judgments. It required a profound understanding of human nature and a willingness to see beyond the masks that people wear. Days turned into weeks as Hiro immersed himself in the Zen master's teachings. He diligently practiced meditation, deepening his connection to his inner self. Slowly but surely, Hiro began to see the world with new eyes, attuned to the subtle nuances of human behavior. One day, Hiro was walking through the village when he encountered a man named Koji. Koji was well known for his flamboyant lifestyle, always eager to impress others with his wealth and possessions. Intrigued by the man's extravagant nature, Hiro decided to engage him in conversation. As they conversed, Hiro noticed a lack of depth and sincerity in Koji's words. His stories seemed exaggerated, his laughter forced. Despite his outward display of affluence, there was an emptiness in Koji's eyes that Hiro couldn't ignore. Remembering the master's teachings, Hiro observed Koji's behavior closely. He noticed how Koji would often belittle others in order to elevate himself. He saw how Koji would quickly change his tune when faced with challenges, becoming defensive and dismissive. And most importantly, Hiro listened to his intuition, which told him that Koji's ostentatious display of wealth was a mere facade to mask his inner insecurities. Armed with his newfound discernment, Hiro decided to approach Koji from a place of compassion rather than judgment. He shared stories of his own struggles and vulnerabilities, hoping to create a space for Koji to drop his guard and reveal his true self. As time went on, Hiro's genuine friendship and understanding began to chip away at the walls Koji had built around himself. Slowly but surely, Koji's true nature began to emerge, a kind and compassionate soul who had been yearning for connection and acceptance all along. In that moment, Hiro understood the deeper meaning of the Zen master's teachings. Identifying fake people was not about judgment or condemnation. It was about seeing beyond the masks, looking into the depths of a person's soul, and recognizing the shared humanity that binds us all. Hiro realized that he had embarked on a lifelong journey, a journey of self-discovery and connection. He vowed to continue cultivating his ability to discern true character, not only for the benefit of others, but also for his own growth and understanding. And so, Hiro carried the wisdom of the Zen master with him as he journeyed through life. With each encounter, he continued to observe, listen, and trust his intuition, knowing that the true essence of a person can only be revealed through the crucible of authenticity and vulnerability. In the end, Hiro learned that identifying fake people was not about labeling or casting judgment. It was about recognizing the inherent beauty and imperfections that reside within each and every one of us. And through this understanding, he discovered the profound interconnectedness of all beings, transcending the masks we wear and embracing the shared journey of humanity.
So Chennai sir joined. Again, we can try. Sir, please, sir. Sir Chennai sir, you can start, sir.
Amresh sir, okay. So in the philosophy of Parmenides, we find many aspects relating with the human world, universe. So the universe has two aspects. One is a consciousness, another is a nature. So the consciousness as the quality of the eternity, the quality of the intuition, the quality of the bliss. It has a lightning, it has a extraordinary ability to create something, and it has another element called nature. So the nature has a flexibility. So in the nature we find different forms, different motions and everything. But the Parmenides says, so the entire universe is a one. Here we find human beings, other creatures, animals, birds, forest, oceans, matter, earth, sky, moons, stars, suns, various types of things. They are undivided whole. So we find various types of forms, various types of motions, but they are not different. They are not separate. In the universe, everything is related with everything. Everything is connected. That's why all is one. So all is in one. So it has a connection. That's why he's telling, so human beings is a one creature in the universe, in the world, but humanity has connection with everything in the universe. So here the trees, the animals, the birds, the water, mountains, sky, star, sun, moon, so all types of things. So there is no separation. That's why the entire universe is a one family. The entire universe is an undivided family. Because of ignorance, you are thinking that you are a separate. That ignorance is an illusion. That's why you have to see, you will find the birth, life, death. It is a process. So in the animals, the nature, we find various types of forms and shapes, but they are manifestations of the cosmic, undivided, eternal reality. So understand universe. So everything. That's why live here in the world with harmony. love, understanding, happiness. So all creatures, all other living creatures, the planet world, the inanimate world, the stars, moons, everything, they are one family. So you are not an isolated person in the world. You have a connection. That's why respect everything, give everything, protect rights of all creatures, all materials of the universe. Entire universe is a one family. So he has a extraordinary, great, wide view about the universe. So if you are thinking that there is a separation, that is a illusion. So there is no separation. The all forms and shapes are appearance of the universe. It is moving with a different mode. It is a undivided whole. So in the philosophy of Parmenides, we find gauge steadfastly all things. So he's a meditator. Is a philosophy is a philosophy of meditation. So he's telling we have three aspects. One is the experiencer is experienced. So here, for example, a person is there, a person is experiencing, experiencer and experienced, the observer and observed, the thinker and thought. So you are a observer, you are observing one aspect. If you find any curtain between yourself and the thing you are observed, then you won't find any pure perception. So if you don't find any curtain, mediation, any observe, then you can see thing exactly what it is. That's why he's telling see the truth. So if you think differently, you may find differently. If you observe with unbiased manner, you can see truth. So gauge steadfastly at things. So here human being has a sense organs and the motor organs, eyes, ear, nose, tongue, skin. So all motor organs. Inside he has a consciousness that is called a being or a soul or a god or a godliness, a divine power or a god or a inner energy or inner jivatma. So the soul has an extraordinary power. The soul has a capacity according to Parmenides. So the soul has the characteristics of awareness, alertness, watchfulness, witness, observation. You have to use your inner light through unbiased manner, see everything in the world very clearly. Then you can find no separation. Everything is related with everything. So all are changing. So you are doing two aspects in the world. So entire world from you are eating. You are eating animals, eggs, vegetables, green, rice, all the things. Your body is nothing but the body of the nature. So you are eating. So after some time, after your death, your body may be a food for others. So sometime you may eat others for your food. After some time you may become food for others. So here nobody is a exemption. Everything is a food in the universe. Sometimes you become food for others, sometimes others become food for you. Here we find interconnectionness. So eating to be eatable. So here in the philosophy of Parmenides, he said meditation, gauging means seeing. Seeing is a pure seeing is a meditation. You have to listen very carefully without any bias. You have to see anything without any curtains. You have to experience the taste, the touches, the smells without interfering any fast experiences. If you observe with a silent manner, with the maintenance of space, if you watch very carefully, that creates extraordinary understanding about the entire universe. So he is telling to understand the world, to understand the nature, to understand the interconnection of the cosmos, you need the extraordinary method or instrument or energy you have in our soul that is called awareness, that we may call gauging, that we may call meditation. So watch very carefully. The watching is the only instrument that is useful to know entire cosmos is a one. If you are not using the meditative approach or awareness approach to understand the entire cosmos, if you use the memory or a thought or a sensation, then you may find different divisions, different issues. You may think many worlds are there, many separations are there, there are no connections. But if you go very deeply with a meditative manner, you will find everything in the universe is connected. So all species, all materials are family members of the universe. That's why respect every aspect of the universe. You are going everywhere in the universe. Your total life is a traveling from one place to one another place. Now you are in the human form. You may go to the animal form or a tree form or a material form or a different form. So you are moving in the universe with a different form. But these forms are nothing but manifestations of eternal reality. You are thinking that there are many changes, many manifestations. They are nothing but the actual process of the actual nature of eternal reality. Through understand the actual reality of existence, watchfulness, meditation is the most important thing. Use meditation. So to see truth, use meditation. He's telling about a human life. So let reason alone decide. For existing, so don't believe anything. You have to use great. So here Parmenides' great contribution to philosophy was the method of reasoned proof or assertions. So if you want to say anything, you have to prove. So he's a very more scientific outlook. So he has a two levels of truth. One is relating with this matter, existence and world. Another is a cosmos. So you have to use meditation, silence, deep intuition to understand the cosmic nature of the universe. So you have to use reason for defending anything. Use reason for every aspect. So here there is no separation. So here in the philosophy of Parmenides, we find the entire cosmos is one. It is a undivided whole, everything is related. So here everything, everybody, every creature, every material is a food for others. Others so this food chain is going on. The consciousness is changing different forms and everything. So meditation is the approach to know the actual existence of the universe. For secular life, use the reason very carefully. Be alone is and nothing is altogether not. So he said, so you are not alone here. You have connection with everything. You are thinking that you are alone. You have no any connection. Here, nobody is alone here. So you may have some psychological space, silence. So that is also connection with everything in the universe. Everything is connected with everything. That's why if you have a good meditative outlook, you will have a connection with the stillness, silence, quietness, happiness, and everything. So if you have no meditative mind, you may have a connections with a different type of things. You may not get any happiness. That's why live with the meditation. Use meditation to understand the universe. Use meditation for every way of life. Then only you will find a truth. For general life of a human life, use reason. So a logical reason. You need more proofs to defend any truth or any fact. Without any proof, without any logical defendence, don't accept anything. Reasoning is the most important thing. Everything is of the nature of nothing. So here you will find earth, water, air, fire, sky, space, different stars, different space, everything is related. Sometimes you will find space, sometimes you will find matter. So the matter will become space, the space will fill with the matter. So everything is collected. That's why here the philosophy of Parmenides is love the nature, love the universe, love every creature, respect all people, live with a coexistence. Don't think that you are alone here. You have many connections, you have many relatives in the universe. So the trees are your relatives, the birds are your relatives. You have many unknown connections in the universe. Through meditation, through intuition, you have to realize your total existence. Then you will live very comfortable and happy manner. I concluded this speech, Amresh sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your wonderful keynote address. I am requesting our noble participants to interact with Professor Chennai, sir. Most welcome to Pavan, sir, Vinita, madam, and others. Deeplata Gupta ji, madam, from Lucknow. Pallavi Gogoi, madam, from Guwahati. Anyone else?
Benito
Sir,
Guyen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, after going through the writings of the great philosopher, so Parmenides is, I think, something different. Even before Christ, he told many things very simply, and his philosophical things are something different.
Yes, because he is telling the so here the cosmos, the world, the universe is an undivided whole. All is one. So all is connected with one. That is a eternal reality. That is a consciousness. So we will find various types of moments, forms, changes in the external world in the form of trees, animals, human form, various types of species, types of living creatures. These are only appearances of the external reality. They are manifestations in the nature. So there is a unchangeable eternal reality. That's why he's telling, don't have a egoistic outlook. Don't divide your life as a separation. You are not independent here. You have many good relations with many things in the universe. You have lived millions of years in the universe in the past. You will be in the universe in the millions of years. So you have many good people, friends, relatives in the cosmos. So you have a vast unconscious memory, connection with your mind. That's why respect everything, live comfortable manner, live at present, joy carefully. This type of things we find in the Parmenides philosophy, Amresh sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Change is an illusion. Why they told, sir? Actually, change is a
So
natural.
here, so the meaning of illusion is mistaking one thing for another. So here we are seeing change. So you see the change of human being. So in the beginning stage, in the childhood, then youth, then old age, then death. So you see the change in the leaf. At the beginning stage of the leaf, we find a tender leaf, then a thick leaf, then green leaf, and then it will disappear. So we find various types of changes in the human being bodies, in the nature, in the trees and everything. It is true. But he is telling these are manifestations in the nature. The nature has a connection. In the natural part, we find any problems, but the change is illusion. It is relating with the consciousness. So here we have a consciousness, we have an inner awareness, we have a total inverse consciousness. That consciousness is free from change. That is a timeless, that is a eternal, that is a permanent, that is free from change. So here Change is illusion relating with the consciousness, not relating with the nature. So in the nature, we find different forms, different movements, different motions, different things. But these are manifestations relating with the eternal reality. This is the sense summary, sir.
Thank you,
So
sir. Thank you,
the
sir.
actually we have to go very deep to understand that change is illusion means how it is changed. So we are seeing change in the agriculture, the industry, the plant, the life, the moment, the life, everything we find change in every moment. How change is illusion, but here the change is illusion relating with the cosmic consciousness, eternal reality, eternal awareness that is free from change. That is a permanent. But we have another aspect relating with the consciousness that is called Prakriti or a nature. It has a different qualities. So why we find change? The change occurred when earth, water, fire, air, sky. So here we have a sattva guna, rajoguna, tamoguna, comfortable quality, active quality, dull quality. These are relating with the nature. On the basis of these qualities, we find various types of changes in the human body, in the nature and everything. So the change is relating with the nature. The manifestations are relating with the nature. The nature is connected with the consciousness. But here the point is change is illusion. Really, if you think that the inner consciousness is changing, the soul is changing, the inner cosmic consciousness is changing, that is a illusion. There is no change. But in the nature, we find various types of changes. Have you got something, Amresh sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got, sir.
So
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Pavan, sir.
So
Deeplata Gupta, madam ji. Pallavi Gogoi, madam ji.
Hello, sir.
Bhaskar,
Namaste, sir. Chinay, sir. And,
Namaste.
hello,
Pavan
Chinay,
Kumar.
sir. And Amresh Reddy, sir. Namaste.
Welcome.
Hello.
Tell me, Pavan Kumar.
Hello.
Continue, sir. Continue, Pavan, sir.
Yes, sir.
Continue.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
That Prakriti, that nature to create everything. Okay. That animals and human beings. That norms is here. Who is norms created? Animals no norms, but human being certain norms is there, country to country. Why? There
See,
is no nature. There is no naturally. That's emotion not satisfying. Then to create anything.
see. So if you give lecture, I won't answer. If you ask direct question, I may answer. What is your question, Pavan Kumar?
Okay, sir.
What is your
But,
what is your question?
animal psychology, no one obstacles, no one stops. That is natural to continue generation to generation.
So
That
actually,
our human
okay.
beings is control norms. Every Stone Age, Middle Age, medieval man, these certain norms is to create. Then that emotion is not satisfying, either anything. Then that is the main
So
that thing.
I am
So
asking.
our science
I am
creating
asking.
and destroying.
Okay. What is our today's conference philosopher name?
Yes,
Parmenides.
Parmenides, philosopher, Greek philosopher.
So he's a Greek philosopher.
Yes, sir.
So here, so the changes relating with the animals and humans, he said, the entire universe consciousness is one. The universe consciousness as connected just like a universe nature. The universe nature has a quality of air, water, fire, space, material, and everything. The universe nature has a active quality, ferocious quality, pleasant quality. It has a different type of qualities relating to its nature. In the universe nature, we find human beings, animals, birds, species, all the things. So here in the universe nature, we find four levels of consciousness. That is geosphere, biosphere, neosphere, Christosphere. So in the universe nature, we find the geosphere means the material, inanimate aspects of the universe. We find biosphere, the living aspects are relating with the universe. Neosphere. So
Okay,
here
sir.
the neosphere is coming from is relating with a human being, the intellect, the intelligence, the thinking capacity living beings. So there we have find Christosphere means it is a highly awakened stage. So human beings are coming in the form in the stage of neosphere and Christosphere. The animals and other things in the evolution in the nature of the universe are in the biosphere and geosphere. So we have a various types of levels in the changes of the universe nature. So these are there. So what is your question relating with Parmenides philosophy? You
Okay,
ask
sir.
any question directly
Okay,
relating
sir.
with his philosophy.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir. So that physiology, innate inborn, sexual
See,
causes,
see,
sexual movement of movements is
I am
naturally. But our human being,
see, this
the
is a
type of
different
emotions
subject.
not, the type
See,
of
it is
emotion
not
not
related
accepted.
to, it is
These
not
are main.
relating with, your question is not relating with the subject. You are not asking your aspect directly relating with the topic. So I have
Okay, sir.
answered very well. See, in the
Our
animal
universe
level,
naturally creating everything, but the type of behaving now naturally, now starting to nowadays, that activity no
Avan sir,
happening.
please ask a topic related to our present topic. Any question related to present topic?
Okay, sir. That is
so if you
the consciousness and the
answer,
pure
but
soul of psychology. How can it possible, sir? The consciousness that our human being
so
consciousness.
actually, Parmenides said
Yes, sir.
here, see, in the permanent philosophy, there is a consciousness for total universe. In the consciousness of the universe, we find human beings, animals, birds, and everything. We find different stages of consciousness. This consciousness has a connection with the nature. The nature has connection with the air, water, fire, earth, sky, and various types of qualities. So in the stage of nature, we find various types of manifestations, living creature, animals, birds, forest, mountain, everything. These are there. The consciousness is a eternity. It is a free from illusion. It is free from change. It is a ever permanent. That is the stage. So in the evolution of the universe, we have become human beings. We have a consciousness. We have a nature. Here, our body is a nothing but nature. So our soul is nothing but our consciousness. The consciousness has a quality of awareness. The body has a quality of a nature. Here, the body depends upon water, air, fire, the earth, space, and everything. That's why after some time the body will go to the nature and the our soul will go to the consciousness. So both are relating with the universe. This is a undivided whole. This essence we find in the philosophy of Parmenides. Amrit?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Consciousness.
Binita madam, Deeplata Gupta madam, Pallavi Gogoi madam.
This consciousness nowadays, this consciousness is a no normal same way. This consciousness
So
of emotion
actually, you have not understood the subject. You have not understood the subject. So here you are telling about the human behavior and everything. But here the permanent is. He is not relating with he is not relating with only one particular human race. He is telling from all living creatures, all aspects of the universe. We have a consciousness, so we have a content of consciousness. If you find any problems in the content of consciousness relating with a human being, we find various types of problems. If you find pure consciousness, you will find peace and everything. So these are occurred, or this we know only through meditation according to Parmenides. Amareswar.
Thank you, sir. Deeplata Gupta, madam, do you have any queries?
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening. Please,
Please.
Yes, sir. So actually, I have joined a little bit late, so I want to understand what you said. Everybody is being a food of everyone. I didn't get what is actually this.
So actually, in the universe, every living creature, not only the human being, or a woman, or a man, or anybody, or a prime minister, or an ambassador, or a governor, or a beautiful, or ugly, or any person, any human being, from birth to death, is eating something, some rice, food grains, vegetarian, non-vegetarian, leaves and everything. His body is nothing but eating something from other sources, other lives. So it is nothing but taking food from others. So we are taking others as a food for our body. After our death, our body, it may go to the burial place. So it may be, for example, if our body buried in a well or some graveyard, so if any tree will come on the time, our body will be a manure or a fuel for the tree. So in the same manner, tree or animal or a human being, their entire life in the cosmos, only two angles. In the life, others become food for this particular person. After death, this particular person becomes food for others. So here, from the beginning to ending, we are taking food from others. Then our entire body is a food material for others. So in the same manner, we have a cosmic connection with the nature and everything, not only relating with the food, in the consciousness, in the relationship. So now in the human being form, we have a different forms in the past lives. We will have a different forms in the future. It is a journey. So there is a existence without any limitation. There is continuity without any starting point. Birth is not the beginning. Death is not the ending. It is a existence. It is a continuity. Here food chain is going on. Relations are going on. So we have a different relations in the universe. That's why the entire universe is a one family. Birds, animals, trees, everything. Everybody is a relative for us if you go very deeply. Amreswar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So Deepalata Gupta ji, have you got something?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've got. So it's like Gita's philosophy, right?
It is a Parmenides. You see, Parma is a Greek philosopher. Parmenides, Parmenides, is a philosopher of ancient Greece before Socrates. So he said, entire cosmos is one. There is an undivided whole. All is one. So all manifestations are appearance. They are in the change. We have a universal consciousness. In the universal consciousness, all living creatures of the universe are occurring. This we find in the philosophy of Parmenides. He is an ancient Greek philosopher. So Amareswar, normally For ordinary persons, we don't understand the deep essence of this philosophy in the Parmenides. So we have a great understanding about that. That's why you said, so change is illusion. So normally, generally, change is there. How can the illusion is there? Change. So here he said, change in the nature. Nature is relating with the momentary. So the change of the leaf, the change of a human body, the change of a plant, or the change of a tree, we find various changes in the nature. So change is relating with the nature. Unchanged, permanency, eternity is relating with the consciousness. This we have to understand. Otherwise we may misunderstand the philosophy of Parmenides. Amresh sir. So
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Last chance.
so Deepalata Gupta ji. So
Hello, sir.
you understood something?
Hello, sir.
Okay.
Hello,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Pavan Kumar.
Sir, consciousness is
You
not
have
same
to
way, sir.
ask
Consciousness is not same
questions,
way.
but you have to ask direct question.
Sir, consciousness is not same way, sir. Any animal or any man. Consciousness is same, no. Our eternal universally.
You have to
Consciousness different, sir. Different types
see.
of truth.
We are not talking about what is your question? What is your question relating with the Parmenides? We are accepting what you are telling. So the consciousness is a different, content of consciousness is different. It is a human being affair. What is your question relating with the Parmenides? So if you ask a very direct question relating with the philosophy of Parmenides, it is a very relevant. But what you are telling is that true. But that is a different subject.
Consciousness is a change
So
to
what is
everything,
that? Do you have any question relating with the Parmenides philosophy?
aging wise, consciousness changes, sir. Moods and emotions way. No same at eternal at university.
Amresh sir.
Sir, I think we can discuss, Pavan sir, we can discuss in other because of time limit. Thank you very much, sir. With your permission, may I go for presentation, sir.
Hello.
Sir. Thank you very much, sir. With your permission, may I go for presentation, sir? Because others have no queries.
Okay. Please move, Amresh sir. Please move, Amresh sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Can discuss in some other time.
Please move, Amresh sir.
Yes, sir. So beauty of silence.
Amresh sir. So actually, okay, 1 minute. What actually? Okay, wait 2 minutes. What is the question of Pavan Kumar? What is the actual question?
Okay, Pavan sir, please you can ask, sir.
Hello, sir.
What is the question?
Okay,
What?
sir.
What is your question?
Consciousness is.
What is your question?
Consciousness is.
Direct question.
Consciousness is changing for our universe of everything, every animal and every human being. No same manner, sir. No same way that life events. Consciousness is changing about aging wise.
Sir, actually, sir is
Aging
concentrating on
What is your direct
consciousness and
question?
based on age, a person's consciousness is changing, and person to person is also different. Yes, it is true, sir. Because individual differences, the understanding capacity, all those things are. Sir, Pavan sir, query is consciousness is different from person to person, from age to age.
Amresh sir. So here in the consciousness, we have two angles. One is the pure consciousness and the content of consciousness. I will tell you one example. You have a glass, you have a steel glass, empty glass. So that is just like a emptiness of all human beings' mind. By birth, we don't find any memory relating with eye, ear, nose, tongue. So we will find just like a clean slate, just like a summer sky without any clouds. We find just like a pure mirror. After getting life, we accumulate pictures, sounds, smells, and everything. This is called content of consciousness. This we find differently from one group to another group, one age to another age. But by birth, all human beings are pure, just like a pure mirror, just like a white paper, just like a clean state. This is a common. So we find a different consciousness, content of that is not consciousness, that is a content of consciousness. He has to tell content of consciousness. So Amareswar has a different memory, I have different memory, Pawan Kumar has different memory. In the different groups have a different memories. These are true, but we are accepting. But finally, according to Parmenides, the pure consciousness is there in the universe, that is free from all images. Another level, we have a consciousness, that is a content of consciousness relating with the experiences. That is true. But what Pawan Kumar telling relating with the human beings, that is also true. We find a different content of consciousness, but we find the same pure consciousness for all human beings. Amareswar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Well understood, sir. I think.
Amareswar.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very nicely explained,
please
sir.
move,
Thank you, sir.
Please move. Yes.
So, good evening to Professor Chennai, sir, and noble participants. Beauty of silence. Professor Chennai, sir, always informing all the participants, silence, 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 Lord Buddha. So, beauty of silence. What is the beauty of silence? A short Zen story.
In the ancient lands of Zen, there was a renowned master named Ryuji, known for his profound understanding of the nature of existence. Seekers from far and wide would travel great distances to listen to his teachings. One day, a curious young disciple approached Ryuji and asked, "Master, what is the significance of silence in our journey toward enlightenment?" Ryuji, with a gentle smile, beckoned the disciple to follow him on a walk to a nearby bamboo grove. They ventured into the serene forest, where the tall bamboo stalks swayed gracefully in the gentle caress of the wind. As they strolled amidst the tranquil greenery, a symphony of rustling leaves and whispering wind enveloped them. The disciple, captivated by the beauty of the moment, found himself sinking into a state of peaceful presence. Ryuji suddenly halted and pointed towards a particular bamboo stalk and said, "Observe this one. What do you notice?" The disciple gazed intently at the chosen bamboo, and after a few moments, he replied, "Master, I see that it stands tall and strong, reaching towards the heavens." Ryuji nodded approvingly. "Indeed, it is a splendid sight. Now I want you to listen carefully. What do you hear?" The disciple closed his eyes, attuning his senses to the surrounding stillness. After a while, he opened his eyes and said, "Master, in the midst of silence, I can hear the whisper of the bamboo leaves as they sway with the wind." Ryuji smiled and gently placed his hand on the disciple's shoulder. "You have perceived well. The bamboo stands tall, representing the resolute nature of our true selves. The rustling leaves signify the subtle music of silence guiding us towards profound awakening." Curiosity sparked in the disciple's eyes. As he awaited Ryuji's further explanation, Ryuji continued, "Just as the bamboo does not resist the wind but dances with it, we too must learn to embrace the winds of life without resistance. In the silence of our being, we find the strength to endure and adapt, allowing the currents of existence to shape us into vessels of wisdom and compassion." The disciple pondered Ryuji's words, reflecting on the deep meaning they carried. He realized that the silence within was not a void, but a fertile ground for growth and transformation. From that day forward, the disciple devoted himself to the practice of stillness and embraced the teachings of the whispering bamboo. he discovered that true enlightenment lay not in grand gestures or elaborate words, but in the calmness that arises when one attunes to the essence of silence. Years passed, and the disciple himself became a revered master, spreading the wisdom of silence throughout the land. He taught his own disciples to listen to the quiet whispers within, guiding them on the path to self-realization and awakening. Embrace silence. It holds the key for growth and awakening.
Wow, very nice. The learning outcome of the present session, learning life, actually this one. From the Greek philosopher Parmenides. So Parmenides born 515 BC before Christ. That's why pre-Socratic philosopher we are calling the Greek philosopher of Elea in the southern Italy who founded. Here actually there are n number of, you can see the leading pre-Socratic schools. Professor Chennai sir, I think maybe after my presentation sir can share. Sir visited Greek and so many places and stayed more than I think 1 week. So introduction to here Parmenides, the Greek philosopher. What type of ideas, ontology or pre-Socratic philosophical aspects we can learn from this video?
The Pre-Socratics Lecture 4, Parmenides. In this lecture, we will direct our attention to the ideas of Parmenides, who elaborated perhaps the most paradoxical and absurd metaphysical account of reality in the history of philosophy. Parmenides was a pre-Socratic philosopher who flourished in the first half of the 5th century BC in the Greek colony of Elea, located on the southwest coast of Italy. Although the conclusions he reached, as we will soon see, were quite preposterous, he is widely considered the most influential of all the pre-Socratics. As William Guthrie explained in the 2nd volume of his History of Greek Philosophy series, pre-Socratic philosophy is divided into 2 halves by the name of Parmenides. His exceptional powers of reasoning brought speculation about the origin and constitution of the universe to a halt, and caused it to make a fresh start on different lines. Parmenides brought speculation about the nature of the universe to a halt by claiming that our experience of the world is an unequivocal illusion. Our experience of the world tells us that things move from one place to another, things are born, things change, and things die. Parmenides asserted that our experience of the world is illusory, and in reality nothing moves or changes, and nothing is born and nothing dies. Furthermore, the truth, according to Parmenides, is that there are in fact no separate things. Instead, he asserted that reality is one thing, that never moves or changes, but has and will remain the same, completely motionless and changeless for all eternity. Describing the universe, Parmenides explained that it is unborn and imperishable, whole, unique, immovable, and without end. It was not in the past, nor yet shall it be, since it now is altogether one and continuous. The conclusions which Parmenides reached are paradoxical, to say the least. In fact, according to the etymology of the word paradox, that is exactly what they are. The word paradox is created by combining para, which means contrary to, and doxa, which signifies appearances. Parmenides' ideas are literally contrary to appearances, or paradoxical. For while it appears that there are separate things in the world which move and change, Parmenides asserted that appearances deceive, and in reality, the universe is much different than it appears to be. According to Parmenides, our senses give us faulty information about the nature of reality. And in order to learn the truth regarding the nature of things, we must rely solely on our mind and powers of reasoning. With his belief that the senses imprint illusions on our minds, and his claim that reason alone, or the mind's eye, must be utilized in the attainment of truth, Parmenides was what is now classified as an extreme rationalist. So how exactly did Parmenides arrive at his controversial and paradoxical conclusion that birth, death, change, and motion are an illusion? His argument started from a very simple and uncontroversial premise. We can state that either something exists or it does not exist, or to use his terminology, either it is or it is not. Furthermore, Parmenides asserted that in constructing a philosophical account of reality, the concept of that which is or that which exists can be utilized, while the concept of that which does not exist or that which is not cannot be used. Writing in a convoluted poetic form, Parmenides explained this idea. Come now, I will tell thee the only two ways of search that can be thought of. The first, namely that it is and that it is impossible for anything not to be, is the way of conviction, for truth is its companion. The other, namely that it is not and that something needs not be, that I tell thee is a wholly untrustworthy path. For you cannot know what is not, that is impossible, nor utter it. In other words, non-being, or that which is not or does not exist, is an illegal concept, and one that cannot be used in any rational account of the world. He wrote, "It needs must be that what can be thought and spoken of is, for it is possible for it to be, and it is not possible for what is nothing to be." It is often mistakenly thought that Parmenides is here making the gross error of claiming that it is impossible to think of something that does not exist. It is obvious that human beings are able to think of that which does not exist. In fact, it could be argued that the history of philosophical and religious thought is evidence that not only is it possible, but very natural, for humans to think and speak of that which does not exist. This, however, is likely not what Parmenides was getting at. His argument is made more cohesive and understandable if it is assumed that when he says it is impossible to think of that which is not, he is merely stating that it is impossible to form a concept of nothingness or non-being. In order to formulate a concept, there must be something that is thought of, something which is the content of the concept. And a concept of nothingness would be a contentless concept, which by its very nature is an impossibility. Therefore, since it is impossible to form a concept of nothing, in providing a rational account of the universe, one cannot utilize non-being, or the concept of that which does not exist. Parmenides looked back on his predecessors, namely the Ionians and Heraclitus, and observed that they spoke of things being born or emerging into the world and perishing from it as what is cannot have come into being. If it did, it came either from what is or what is not. But it did not come from what is, since if it is existent, it did not come to be, but already is. Nor from what is not, for the non-existent cannot generate anything. In other words, if something is born, it must either come from what exists or what does not exist. If it comes from what exists, it is not born, since it would have already existed. And it cannot come from what does not exist, for something cannot be born from nothing. Becoming, Parmenides concluded, does not exist. In reality, there is only being. Whatever exists was not born and will not die, but instead will exist for all eternity. Along with the fact that Parmenides declared becoming, and hence birth and death, to be impossible, he insisted that even movement is an illusion, and contrary to our perceptions, in reality, nothing moves. His reasoning behind this idea was that for movement to be possible, a thing must move from where it is now into an empty space. However, he conceptualized empty space as being that which is not, or non-being. And since non-being is an illegal concept, so to speak, it is incoherent to state that something moves from its current position into non-being, because it makes no sense to say that non-being or empty space exists. That would be the same as saying what doesn't exist does exist, which is a contradiction. Therefore, he concluded, according to the dictates of reason, all movement is an illusion. Parmenides' philosophy is mind-numbing and confusing. However, to his credit, he did arrive at his conclusions through sound reasoning. Yet the picture of reality he conveyed is disconcerting to say the least. James Warren, in his book Pre-Socratics, wrote that Parmenides left us with an odd and alienating picture of reality. Following consistently the ban on what is not, it has turned out that we are left with an unfamiliar reality, which leaves no room for change, plurality, motion, difference, people, days, or nights. To conclude this lecture, we will briefly investigate the enormous impact which Parmenides had on the mind of Plato. Plato is said to have constructed his vision of reality by reconciling the ideas of Heraclitus and Parmenides. In the last lecture, we explained how Heraclitus asserted that everything is constantly in flux, or in other words, in a constant state of becoming, and therefore that absolute or unchanging truths do not exist. Plato was shaken with this insight, and as a man devoted to the attainment of truth, he could not rest content with the notion that truth did not exist. It was in the philosophy of Parmenides that he found a way to escape the epistemological nihilism, or the denial that truths exist, conveyed by the philosophy of Heraclitus. There are, in fact, two different realms which constitute the universe, Plato concluded. There is a realm of being, in which things do not change, are not born, and do not die. And there is a realm of becoming, where things do change, are born, and do perish. The world of becoming we observe through our senses, while the realm of being, or the realm of forms as Plato called it, we discern through the use of our mind or reason. Truths exist only in the realm of being, or the reality of forms, and hence, unshakable knowledge can only be obtained through the use of one's mind. With respect to the world we experience, the world of becoming, Plato taught that only opinions or beliefs, but never truths, can be ascertained. In a passage of Plato's, it is clear that the philosophy of Parmenides, and his permanent and motionless reality of being, and the philosophy of Heraclitus, and his ever-changing reality of becoming, were merged by Plato into a higher synthesis. In my opinion, we must first of all make the following distinction. What is it that always is and has no becoming? And what, on the other hand, becomes continually but never is? The one comprehensible by the mind with reasoning, the other conjectured by opinion with irrational sensation, coming to be and passing away, but never really being. However, before Plato reconciled the ideas of Heraclitus and Parmenides, there were three more main pre-Socratics who had to wrestle with Parmenides' law against becoming. As we will see in the coming lectures, these later pre-Socratics abided by Parmenides' law that it is impossible for something to emerge from nothing, and therefore they did away with the notion of becoming. However, they could not accept his conclusion that nothing moves or changes, for this idea is in direct contrast to our most basic experience of the world. These later pre-Socratics made it their mission to save the appearances, so to speak, and provide a vision of reality which adhered both to Parmenides' law and our basic experience of the world, which tells us things do in fact move and change. These later three pre-Socratics, which we will consider in the coming lectures, are Empedocles, Anaxagoras, and Democritus.
So according to Parmenides, nothing will change. Actually, Professor Chennai sir very nicely explained everything already exists, only the cosmos, cosmic. Professor Chennai sir is an extraordinary understanding. Otherwise, change is an illusion. Our perception, our understanding is different. So it is a really wonderful philosopher and a pre-Socratic philosophy.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Ancient Philosophy. In this lesson we're going to be talking about another one of the pre-Socratic philosophers who's contributed some significance to the tradition of philosophy as it has developed. And we're going to talk about Parmenides. And it's quite fitting that we talk about Parmenides as almost a contrast to the philosopher from the previous lesson, who was Heraclitus, because they did actually have some quite fundamentally contradictory beliefs when it came to the nature of metaphysics, for example. So that's what we're going to do in this lesson. We're going to unpack Parmenides as a philosopher, and we're going to talk about some of the most important contributions Parmenides has made to both philosophy and science. So, like I've mentioned already, in the last lesson, we looked at the philosophy of Heraclitus, and we're going to explore the philosophy of Parmenides. And as I mentioned again, Parmenides represents a stark contrast to that of the philosophy that was presented by Heraclitus. So, according to Aristotle, Parmenides was either a student of Xenophanes, somebody who we've talked about already, either directly a student or at least a student of the teachings of Xenophanes. So there is a link in terms of the philosophical inquiry between these two different thinkers. He spent the majority of his life near the city of Naples, and this place was called Elea, and this is where he introduced a number of interesting philosophical inquiries during this time. And actually, he would be known for founding a little bit of a philosophical movement in this region, and we'll actually get onto the next lesson when we talk about Zeno, who is somebody who almost carried on the tradition of Parmenides' work. The vast majority of what we know about Parmenides, in terms of the primary sources and primary information and the fragments we understand to have about Parmenides, or directly written by Parmenides, comes from a poem which contains a number of philosophical thoughts and beliefs. And of this poem that we have, there is around 120 lines that still survive. And from these 120 lines, we can deduce a number of things related to his beliefs. But again, just like with other ancient philosophers during this time period, during this sort of pre-Socratic era, we don't know how much of what Parmenides believed was actually what he believed in fact, or what he was doing in terms of just writing poetically about a particular issue, because these philosophers wrote in quite ambiguous prose and quite poetic, using quite a poetic language. We note that there is a little bit of a distinction that can be made in terms of what we know for sure he believed and what he was writing about that can be taken to be quite a lot more ambiguous. But the poem itself, that is the 120 lines that survive, is split into two parts. The first is the, quote, path of truth, and the second is the path of mortal opinion. So we have here quite two relatively symbolic titles for the poems that he had written. And in terms of what we can take out and extract from these poems and look at to have an understanding of what he actually believed, Parmenides, one of the things that's the most important is the contribution to metaphysics, namely almost the introduction to the study of ontology, which is a very major aspect of metaphysics itself. Within this, as I will describe, very poorly written poem, definitely a very poorly written poem. I remember having to read it myself.
Actually, your network is maybe a slow, ma'am. From my side, audio is very good. Okay, I can increase audio more.
Ancient philosophy as an undergrad, and it was not particularly very fun to to go through. So that set homework wasn't particularly great for me. Within this poem, we find Parmenides beginning a new philosophical tradition, and this is the philosophical tradition that we know today to be ontology. Parmenides is credited with the creation of the study of ontology, and we know, or we should know, for those who have taken a few basic philosophy classes or maybe gone through our lessons on metaphysics already, that ontology is the study and the philosophical study of being and becoming, the concept of what it means for something to exist in a particular way. The idea of being is heavily linked with the contrasting ideas that Parmenides has about flux. If you remember at the start of this lesson, I mentioned that Parmenides exists as almost a stark contrast in terms of philosophical beliefs to that of Heraclitus. And we know from the last lesson that Heraclitus was somebody who believed that the universe was in a constant state of flux. And we cited the very, very famous fragment, or the famous passage, that one does never step into the same river twice. The idea of this being that we are poetically representing the way in which you cannot step into the same river and for it to be the same, because the river is constantly flowing and it's constantly in flux. Unlike Heraclitus, Parmenides was not a believer that everything in the universe was in some kind of motion. In contrast, in fact, he was a philosopher who championed the idea that things were not in motion. He starkly disagreed with the beliefs of Heraclitus. And so how do these beliefs relating to whether or not things are in motion or things are not in motion, the idea of flux versus not being in flux, how do these things relate to Parmenides' beliefs in the concept of ontology, in the nature of being? Well, according to Parmenides, everything in the universe is what he describes as a being. Now, what do we mean by this? Well, the idea of being is a single unified concept. It is an idea that something is indivisible, having no experience of temporal change. If you are something that is a concept that is being, then you are not something that can be divided. You're not something that can experience temporal passage. Contrast this with, as I mentioned, the ideas that were presented by Heraclitus, the idea that things can experience temporal passage, things that can be divisible. Everything is in motion. Water will boil, and the water is, when the water is leaving, the steam is being born almost. So we have an instance here where whatever happens, there is always something that is coming into and out of existence as a kind of constant notion of flux within the universe. Well, according to Parmenides, everything that changes in the universe will not change externally to this idea of being. So something might change. I don't think Parmenides would disagree that things in the universe will change, or things in the world around him will change. You can see that using your visible experiences, your visible perception. But what Parmenides believed, that anything that does change will change, but not because of a change in the nature of being. It will change externally to this ontological concept of being. Ultimately, this means that being is never changing. Even if things appear to have changed, they are in fact being, and they are the same. So again, quite a complicated and quite difficult to explain in language, the concept of being within Parmenides' philosophy. And because obviously we use the word being in lots of different ways in modern terminology, in the modern lexicon of the English language. And so the concept of being as described by Parmenides is a little bit different to what we would describe as being if we were to describe that word colloquially. So a little bit of a difficult thing to deal with in that particular regard. When it comes to his scientific discoveries, just like with all the philosophers before, we can credit a number of different scientific discoveries to Parmenides. For Parmenides, his scientific discoveries are linked creatively with philosophical and mathematical notions of identity, which is quite interesting, okay? Because what he does is he makes scientific discoveries, but what's most important about these scientific discoveries isn't the fact that they are scientific discoveries, but the implication that these scientific discoveries will have on metaphysics and on mathematics in the future. So, for example, he was as a general side example, he was the first person in history, at least on paper, at least notably in history, to conclude that the Earth was a sphere. So we've known the Earth was a sphere at least as early as Parmenides. So that sort of dispels the common myth that people thought the Earth was flat all the way up to the Enlightenment, for example. This isn't true. We've known the Earth was round for a very long period of time. At least most people do. There are still some conspiracy theories today. So previously, thinkers and philosophers had all kinds of shapes in mind about what the Earth was said to be. For example, we had the ideas from previous philosophers that the Earth was cylindrical in nature, or that the Earth was infinite. It would always go down to infinity. You could never dig to the bottom of the Earth. And so therefore the sun had to be new and come into existence every single day to try and explain this cycle. A second discovery, which is a lot more closely linked with these ideas relating to metaphysics, mathematics, and notions of identity, is that he concluded or deduced that the morning star and the evening star were both the same star, which is very, very interesting. You might not think that that is something that is quite, you know, who really cares from a philosophical position, but it is interesting because a great amount of metaphysics relates to the concept of identity. It would start this new philosophical inquiry into the metaphysics of identity, the difference between numerical identity and the difference between quantitative identity and qualitative identity, all of these different things. And identity in logic as well is actually quite interesting when we think about how identity operates within, for example, first order logic or predicate logic, as we can sometimes describe it. These are things that if you are somebody who's doing a philosophy degree or is going through the lessons on this channel, looking at different philosophical theories, you will notice and you will come to note that the metaphysics of identity is quite important. And it's almost as if Parmenides kickstarted this belief or this sort of inquiry through his belief in a basic scientific discovery. So that's quite interesting. In the next lesson, we're going to talk about the philosopher Zeno. And Zeno has a lot more, is one of those philosophers that seems to have breached into the sort of common parlance in terms of the things that he presented in terms of his philosophy. I'm pretty sure most people who have never done philosophy or studied philosophy before would have a general idea about some of the thought experiments that Zeno had presented. And we will talk about each of those thought experiments in the next lesson.
So very nice. Even the shape of Earth was also long back before Christ, 515. he was
Let reason
born.
alone decide. Give me the power to produce fever and I'll cure all disease. Change is an illusion. Wherefore all these things are but the names which mortals have given, believing them to be true. When the seed comes from the right testis, sons look like their father, and from the left testicle, like their mother. War is the art of destroying men, politics is the art of deceiving them. To be and to have meaning are the same. There is one story left, one road, that it is. And on this road there are very many signs that being is uncreated and imperishable, whole, unique, unwavering, and complete. The universe, for those who knew how to embrace it from a single point of view, would not be, if it were allowed to say it, more than a single fact and a great truth. Nothing comes out of nothing. Never will this prevail, that the things that are not are, bar your thought from this road of inquiry. Music that does not describe something is nothing but noise. Mortals have made up their minds to name two forms, one of which they should not name, and that is where they go astray from the truth. It is necessary for you to learn all things, both the abiding essence of persuasive truth, and men's opinions in which rests no true belief. Gaze steadfastly at things which, though far away, are yet present to the mind. For to be thought and to be are the same thing. Everything that exists has always existed. Nothing can come from nothing, and something that exists cannot be turned into anything either. Everything is of the nature of no thing. Being alone is and nothing is altogether not. A single narrowable path remains what it is, and on this road there are abundant signs.
So there are n number of great things already we learned from these videos. Being alone is and nothing is all together not. Actually, we need a deeper sense and philosophical mind to understand. Otherwise, if you read just by taking the meaning of the words, it is not possible. So give me the power to produce a Heophavant. I will cure all diseases. Just many philosophers, many scientists, they said, if you show me the center of the earth, I can lift. It is not possible for us, but how the scientific, this one already Professor Chennai sir mentioned, to be and to have meaning are the same. And all these things, myself and Dr. Santosini Madam's models. So, what you can take away from the philosophers? So, what Professor Chennai sir is that nothing is changing, and the change is illusion means we are all connected. Just war, regarding war also, what is happening between Ukraine and Russia? Every moment it is changing because of war only. Now situation of Pakistan is also the economic position. There are so many things we can learn. That's why whatever we are learning, better to carry forward. If possible, better to help others. Otherwise, keep silent, not to do wrong things or bad things. So very simple mind, kindness, compassion, simplicity, so many good things we can learn from this philosophy. Over to Professor Chennai sir before going to deliver a vote of thanks, then followed by feedback form. Professor Chennai sir.
Amresh sir.
Sir, you very nicely simply mentioned, sir, but to say frankly, it is very difficult for us to understand without listening your words. If you read straight away the philosophical thoughts of Parmenides, sir.
Yes, Amresh sir.
Sir.
So actually here the change is illusion means here we have a human body. The human body is relating with the nature. Our human soul is relating with the consciousness. The consciousness is a permanent, changeless, eternal. So here he said about the change is illusion. If you say something, your soul is changeable. That is an illusion. That is a mistake. So he said about relating with the soul. So the body, it is a changeable. So here body is relating with the nature, the soul is relating with the consciousness. So the soul is a permanent, free from change. The body is a changeable, conditional. Nature is everything momentary. So that is the actual sense, Amresh sir, there.
Sir, how Parmenides mentioned Earth is in sphere, because during that time no telescope, nothing, no instrument.
So here our soul has a extraordinary connection with our soul. Human being soul has a connection with a universe consciousness. So the universe consciousness has actually the universe intuition. So it has connection with the past, it has connection with the future, it has connection with unknown things in the universe. If you are a meditator, if you have done very deep meditation without knowing any instrument, your inner soul, inner consciousness may know many things mysterious manner. So they have discovered, they said on the basis of only meditation, Amare sir. So that's why here Parmenides also said, so gauge, meditation is the most important to understand the universe. So meditation has an extraordinary power. Apart from instruments, sometimes all discoveries, inventions occurred out of meditation, Amre sir. Even in the lives of the scientists also, in the deep silence, they invented, they discovered, they created something out of it. It comes from subconscious mind. That is called subconscious mind. That is a faculty of creativity. That is a faculty of extraordinary energy creation. That is called subconscious mind, subconsciousness of mind. So they operate all affairs with the subconsciousness of the mind, Amre sir.
Extraordinary, sir. I can understand, sir, as a science background student during my B.Ed, BSc. So for scientific, we need a thorough observation. That observation also in silence. So that's why the power of silence is extraordinary. The subconscious, even unconscious also sometimes.
When there is a silence of memory, when there is a silence of thought, we find tranquility and stillness in the mind. When there is a stillness in the mind, automatically the mind will have a connection with the subconscious mind. It is a creative mind, it is a talented mind, a mind which creates, which invents, which creates extraordinary things. So it has a silent mind. So here meditation is the way. So all persons with different fields, they used meditation, they discovered, they invented, because you have created many flyers, many papers, many degrees, many things out of only silent mind meditation. So here meditation has many outlook. In a Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, we have a 112 meditative technique. If you love a work, so love meditation, if you love your work, that itself is a meditation. Out of that love, tranquility, enjoyment, so you are
Yes, sir, we can understand, sir, your thoughts and views. That is really extraordinary, sir, extraordinary. So it is my honor to express my gratitude to Professor Chennai, sir, for wonderful keynote address. And that's why I'm using the words. You are always uncovering the covered things. Because sometimes the word text have different meaning, but in-depth meaning or philosophical meaning is different, and practical meaning is different. So if you see those philosophical perspective only, we can understand the real meaning of the word or information provided by the philosopher. Thank you, sir, for making us more understandable.
Yes.
It is my duty
So all
to
the best,
express.
sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. It is my duty to express my sincere gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Prabhasankar Shukla, sir, and Registrar Professor S. Dikshit, sir, Director IQAC, Professor Mitali Kaur, ma'am, Dr. Srutasini Gogoi, madam, from Moran College for their continuous support, Professor Raja Reddy, sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sri Venkateswara University, Professor Mipun, sir, ISTD Chairman Shillong chapter for his valuable advices, and special thanks to Pawan sir and Deeplata Gupta madam, Pawan sir from Andhra Pradesh, Deeplata Gupta madam from Lucknow UP, and all other noble participants for your valuable presence. As usual, we are going to the doctoral research conference on Wednesday 26th, and 30th is international conference. I'm going to share flyers. Even Mohammed Safir is going to present, and one of my scholars, Ruby Tamongs, is also going to present. Already I finalized. I'm going to share, and have a nice evening. Thank you very much. See you again on 20th Wednesday, 26th Wednesday, around 19th Doctoral Research International Conference, and 21st International Conference on 30th July on the occasion of Old Friendship Day. Thank you very much. Now, national anthem. Immediately, I can share my our feedback form to get your certificate. Thank you very much.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधृतरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Jai Hind, thank you. Please submit your feedback form. Even YouTube viewers also, you can submit.